A very good evening to you, students. It's wonderful to have the pleasure of your company again. Today, I am going to say yes. Today, we are looking at the word yes, and we will study some of the different ways that you can express the idea of yes. Yep. If you walk around all day saying yep, people might think you're a bit of a lunatic. But on the other hand, it's a very common substitute for the word yes. Yup or yep. Sometimes written with a U and sometimes written with an E. As it's a spoken form, it's only usually written down as a phonetic transcription of somebody's conversation. Get all intellectual about it. Yeah, baby. Yeah. Well, everybody, I think, knows this one. Not everybody uses it, though. Yeah should rhyme with hair, where, there. W. No, it's not W. What am I talking about? Y. E-A-H. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sirree. All those American television programs, you always got these crazy characters saying, yes, sirree, which was a version of yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sirree. Maybe you wouldn't want to use it, but if you hear somebody else using it, probably a good idea to find out what they're talking about. Okay, probably the most international symbol that there is. But how many of you know okie dokie? Okie dokie means okay or yes, and again is another conversational, colloquial way of expressing the idea of yes. Okie dokie. Not to be confused with the dance of the same name. These are typical street expressions in a more formal situation, or in a very formal situation. You might use a beautiful expression like, by all means. Could I have some champagne? By all means, my lord. Obviously, you'll see the noble in me coming out with these expressions. A very good international, a very typically American expression would be Sure. Hey, can I get one of those? Sure. Sure basically means yes, and softens up the way you speak. If you went to a restaurant and you needed a chair from somebody else's table, excuse me, is this chair free? Yeah, sure. You want to go for a coffee? Yeah, sure. It's quite American, but it's also used in most other English-speaking countries too. Sure. Yeah. Aye. Aye, aye, aye. Aye is a very historical word which in Scots, which was the traditional language of Scotland before the English decided that they would impose themselves culturally. In the Scots dialect, I, and in many Northern English dialects, I means yes. It's become very cool to use on internet and social media instead of saying yes. Aye lad, meaning yes, my friend. It's also a similar thing is used in the Houses of Parliament to agree and express your accord or your agreement over public debate. Aye, aye, aye. Aye, aye, Captain. Please do. Please do is a beautiful expression. If you're an Italian speaker, you could probably substitute this for prego. Great. Great is one of the most common words in English, many different applications, many different meanings, and great in this context would mean yes, I would love to. I would love to, in fact, would be another way of saying it. So, you coming to the party? Great! Would mean yes, I am. Will do. Will do is another slightly humorous way of saying yes, I will do it, which basically means yes. So, bring the paper over to me. Will do. That's all for today, folks. See you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Today we are looking at the word no. No is the opposite of yes. If you don't know that already, you're probably very, very stupid and you shouldn't be watching this video. I'm only joking. In England, we have many different ways to say no. Nope. 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 Written nope means no, but it's a more familiar, colloquial way of saying no. It adds a touch of humour to your language, which helps very much when you say no in England, because sometimes if you say no directly, very aggressively, you might get a good old English punch in the nose. I have had many. But I digress. Not possible. Very typical in America to hear people say, oh, not possible. Do you think you can do it? Nope, not possible. I'm afraid not. No, I'm afraid not. Afraid not. I'm afraid not is, of course, I am afraid not. Afraid has got two different meanings. One is obviously, oh God, I'm afraid, I'm frightened. Another means I'm sorry in a diplomatic sense that I cannot do something. Very typical if you were in your job and somebody says, are you coming to the meeting today? I'm afraid not. I've got a very important meeting down the pub with my friends. Absolutely not is obviously a very emphatic way to say no. You can say no, or you can say no in a very strong way. Absolutely not. You will absolutely not do it. Absolutely not. Be careful with this one, because absolutely means yes. And absolutely not is the opposite. Forget it. I like this one because it's typically accompanied by a hand gesture. Forget it. A variation of forget it would be forget about it, which would be forget about it. When you compress it into one single word, it sounds like forget about it. We will fight them on the beaches. We will fight them in the kebab shop.
Oh, shut up, will you?
A very good afternoon to you, students. Hell no. Hell no. Hell yeah. If you grew up watching trashy American television like I did, you will have heard this many times. Hell no. Usually it's a different word beginning with F. But no. In less vulgar expressions, we substitute offensive words or swear words for words like hell or the devil. Hell obviously is the place where all you people will be going for watching videos like this. And as AC/DC once said, all my friends will be there too. You will be in very good company. Many times we like to use substitute words. Up to a point. If somebody says up to a point to you, almost certainly they are trying to tell you no in a diplomatic fashion. Which brings me to a point. Please subscribe. No way. No way. If you want to say no in a very strong, emphatic way, you obviously can shout, but you're probably shouting already because you're foreign and people don't understand you. No way, Jose. Very silly expression, but quite good fun. No way, Jose. Not on your Nelly. Not on your Nelly. Not on your Nelly is a very silly phrase that we used to use when we were children a lot. This is the kind of thing my grandmother used to say. Who Nelly was, I do not know. But it was probably some very old lady, as I think it used to be a lady's name. But not on your Nelly. One final one would be certainly not. Do you want to go out tonight? Certainly not. Would you like to go out with my sister? The one with the moustache, the acne and the verrucas?
Down the coast for a fatherland way, couple of kids, back and understand.
A very good afternoon to you, students. Today we have a lovely lesson to help you learn English. We all know how to say hello. Today we are going to look at 10 different ways of saying hello. Come on! Hey! What's up? What's up? Yes, you thought it was a telephone application, but originally it was a play on words from the expression, what is up? The most important thing to remember about what's up is the answer. It's not, hello, how are you? I'm very well. Fine. Not at all. The answer to what's up is what's up, or no answer at all. Hi there! Everybody in English knows hi. That's very easy. But to make it sound a little bit more natural, you can use the word there. Hi there! This can also be applied to many other words too. Hello there! Hey there! You there! Hey, great to see you! This is another lovely expression, great to see you. Great means fantastic, very nice. And to see you, obviously, to see the person again. I can't explain that. Great is a word which causes students many problems, particularly because British people do not usually pronounce the T at the end. This is very characteristic of the London accent, where you will hear people say, great. Mate. Mate is a typical British word that's very common in Australia and some other countries too. Hello, mate. And once again, we don't pronounce the letter T. All right, mate. In fact, you can, if you go to London, you can put it at the end of every single sentence you say. Example. Hello, all right, mate. How's it going, mate? Not too bad, mate. Cool. Bit cold today, isn't it, mate? You know what I mean, mate? Oh, mate, you wouldn't believe what happened to me last night. Etc. How's things? How's things? This is how are things contracted into one long sound. Very typical characteristic of English, where we like to pronounce everything together. The technical term, I think, is liaison. So, how are things sounds very wooden. It sounds like the way my computer speaks English, where it pronounces every word. How's things? How's things? Another very typical expression is, how's it going? Again, concertina it all together. How's it going? Get the musical intonation correct on this one. How's it going? How is it going? How's it going? All right, mate. How's it going? Yeah, not bad. How's it going for you? Long time no see! Wow, long time no see! Hello, Dave! Long time no see! How's the missus? Etc. Long time no see is a very old historical phrase, which you say when you haven't seen a person for a long period of time. Long time no see. Obviously with this one, you need to get it exactly correct. Long time no see. You can't make any variations on this or it just sounds silly. Hey, how's everything? How's everything? This, of course, is how is everything. So many of these are variations of the same idea. How are things? How's it going? Etc. All right. All right. All right. If somebody says this to you in the street in London, you probably won't know what they're talking about. But it is the word all right. Pronounced exactly the same as if you said the two words all for everything, right for correct. Again, this is a very typical street expression where the intonation is particularly important. All right. You'll notice once again the T at the end is not pronounced. All right is possible, but it sounds a little bit strange because it is a colloquial street expression. All right. This can also be used not only to say hello, but has many other applications too. All right, calm down, please. All right. All right. How are you doing? How are you doing? This is how are you doing, which is a variation of how are you. So how are you, as we have seen, has got many different possible variances. How's it going? How are you? How's everything? How are you doing? A very good afternoon to you, students. Here we are once again. My name is Zach Washington and I am going to teach you more English. Welcome to England. Now please, go away. Yes, that's what we're looking at today. Different ways to say go away. Clear off. Boy, hey, clear off, will you? Oh, I wish you'd clear off. Clear off. As most of you already know, because every student in the world looks up the rude, offensive words in the dictionary on the first day of class, you will know that most insults to make people in English end with the word off. Clear off is a very nice expression because it doesn't contain an offensive swear word or rude word. Clear just means go or remove yourself. Do not ask me to teach you the bad language. Although if you go to Zach Washington's Guide to English website, lesson 16, Wormwood Scrubs Prison, you will find all the interesting, colourful language to tell people to off. Why don't you move off, etc. Scram. Wait, scram. Scram is a very old, but very useful single word that you can use to make somebody disappear. Boy, scram, will you? Get lost. Wait. Get lost. Who do you think you are coming to my channel? Subscribing, liking and sharing. Scram. Get lost. Bloody foreigners coming over to England, giving us English teachers all this work, giving us all this money. Scram! Oh, really? Get out of here! Out! Get out! I don't care who you are. out is actually a very useful word that you can use just on its own to express this idea. Out. You. Out. Bad student. Out of the class. Run along now, will you? This is a typical word that my school teacher used to say after I'd been called into the office and been told off. Right, on your way. Run along. This is a very condescending way of speaking to somebody that you think is less important than you. Again, it contains no offensive words. Run and along, very normal words. So this one's very useful. I say, run along, will you? Give me some space, will you? Give me some space. This one, if you translate it in one of your Romance languages, I'm sure you've probably got an equivalent. Give me some space around. Too many people. Notice that give me many times is contracted to gimme. Give me some space. Would you please leave? This one's quite a rude or quite a strong way of speaking to somebody. Would you please leave? Meaning leave as in go away. Careful with the pronunciation. Live is vivere or vivir in Spanish. Leave, lasciare, abbandonare, etc. means to go away. The difference in pronunciation, leave with a smile on your face and live, kind of Germanic sound. Would you please leave? Leave me alone. Beat it. Beat it. Any Michael Jackson fans will remember this one, Beat It. Although Michael Jackson's English pronunciation was certainly different from mine or yours. Beat it. Well, this is actually a very complicated one because beat has got the E sound that I just mentioned in the word leave, and it is a different sound completely. So it's, when you look at this word, it looks like beat, eat, but it's not, it's beat, it, beat, it. And finally, a very good expression, hop it. You hop it. Hop is to walk on one leg. Hop it means away, go away, get lost. That's it. Listen, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, subscribe. You can find us on www.zwcommunications.com, where we've got 16 lessons. It's the biggest and most comprehensive free online course of English that you'll find. Libertarian education is back. Tell your friends, beat it.